Hey, so I got the notification from Ford that they're ready for me to do the process to view and place my order. So, just what I'm going to do today is kind of go through the selections that I wanted to make in the ordering process for the 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning. Okay, start off here. They've already blocked out all of the Pro models for the entire 2023 model year. Then the XLT is also not available right now. I've looked around. I mean, it's still just listed as currently closed, but who knows when that will be available. So the first one that's actually available is the Lariat. And my intention is not to go with the extended range battery, but you can actually change that later in the configuration. While I'm loading this up, the other thing that I've noticed recently is there's been a change in the process for the federal rebate. So essentially, the Ford Lightnings are not eligible in 2023 for that rebate, even if you're under the income caps for them. And it's mainly due to not a large enough percentage of the the materials being produced in the United States. The other thing with that is they've also increased the base price for each of these models. I think that was back a month or so ago, but this is reflecting prices as of November 16th. So starting with the color, the blue one is the one that I was most interested in. I think with a lot of the other models, there's differences in prices for the paint. I didn't see that here. The blue or the black one, several of these colors to me kind of just all seem just vague shades of off-white, so I wasn't really interested in that. And then moving back to the battery, again, they let you change this here. The one thing they do here is that they force you to pick the upgraded package. So you're not just paying for the battery itself. You're paying for an upgrade. So I'll hit that lower here, but basically the difference here is in the quoted range is 240 miles for the standard battery and 320 for the extended battery. So really for my usage, I don't intend to ever take an electric truck or even the current truck that I have on for any sort of road trip or anything. So my my use is just driving, about an hour back and forth to work, and then I generally use a truck as a truck. So I have live on 10 acres of property, so hauling dirt and stuff like that. Actually, really using it. So my intent was never to buy an electric vehicle unless I could do charging at home. So to me, while they quote 240 miles of range, but as most people know, that 240 miles of range, if you only charge 20% to 80%, and then you have to take into account decreased range in the winter, even if you said, okay, that's 180 miles of range, that kind of works for me. So kind of not comparable to some of the higher end offerings for some cars where upgrades get you well over 300. So that's definitely a concern there. I was going to go ahead and leave the mobile power cord on there just as a backup. But again, my intention is just to almost never do any charging other than at home. So getting to the equipment groups, and this is where the upgraded 511A equipment group gets you. It gets you the extended battery. It also you get an upgraded version of Copilot from the lower version to higher version. I didn't really see a ton of benefit in those. I think the thought on the charging station sounds really great, but I even though I use tools and stuff like that a lot, I don't do job site work. I do that work at home. And some of these like features like the fold flat rear storage, the power tilt, like they're nice features. They're not great features to me, and to me, just the extended range of the battery wasn't worth the additional cost there. So wasn't really overall interested in that. The tow package, this is priced a little bit differently for different models. So if you are able to order the Pro version, this is, I think, like $600 more. The big difference here is that in the with the Lariat version, you get you already get the 360-degree camera. So there's a couple of things you already get with that. Then to me, some of this, I've periodically hit the rear view mirrors of my truck on stuff just driving through, parking garages and stuff like that. So I don't like the idea of the power adjust, things like that. I don't really. I've always found that the 360-degree camera is perfect for a hitch. Like I have the rear view camera on my truck, and I can pull up right under a hitch. It doesn't. I don't need any more automation than that. So to me, none of that is really worth it. No real material selection there on the wheels and the tires. And then for the exterior options, again, I normally use a truck I use the entire bed of it. I do keep a toolbox in mind. I think with the Frunk, I won't keep a box in mind. I think the other big difference is there that right now I drive a Ram 1500. That is a 6.5 foot bed, and this is the 5.5 foot bed. That's one thing I was definitely disappointed with, that there wasn't a 6.5 foot bed option. I think with hauling stuff from the hardware store, that makes a big difference. Admittedly, I came from my first truck had a single cab and an 8 foot bed, so I even thought that a 6.5 foot wasn't really good enough. But I'm not thinking that I'll intend to have a box in the back. But the thing I definitely do want to have is the spray and bed liner. The plastic ones, it's not cheaper enough to work for me, and I just feel like I kind of bang those up, and it's just not as it doesn't feel as good of a look and experience when you're trying to shovel things out of there, and it kind of clanks around. So go with the tough bed spray and liner there. So then some of these options, obviously you get some of this. Some of these options come as upgrades that you automatically get with the Lariat. I think if the XLT version was available right now, I think I'd probably go with that. And because there's a couple of things that I do like the power rear sliding window, but there's a couple of things that I didn't feel like were certainly as critical to order for that. I do like the moonroof, but as you see with some of these that don't have a price there, that's one of the upgrades that you have to pay for the 511A package to get the upgrade there. And then the 9.6 kilowatt Pro Power on board, I think I do see a lot of benefit to that. That's not a default option on the Pro model. So if you get the lower version, you got to pay a pretty good upgrade to get that. And then I don't need all the rear sensing in addition to the 360-degree camera, but I do think that the camera, aside from the sensing, the camera kind of covers everything you need as far as kind of moving about a space. So I'm good with that. Again, this is one that like I wouldn't choose if I was paying for it. Having power folding mirrors, I feel like it's just something else to kind of go wrong. So not really interested in that. And I've never felt like I needed running boards, so power deployable running boards didn't really make any sense to me. The one thing I did feel like was a sort of a lacking here is they don't have the full leather seat option available. I mean, you can get that if you get an upgraded model, but I just having trimmed leather seats, not my favorite. And then, my experience with floor liners I end up getting them dirty and underneath of them dirty. So I kind of just accept it for what it is and vacuum the floor periodically. So this has the upgraded front seats, but not the back seats, which I think is fine. We have 3 kids, and so we'd have them. generally if we're driving places, but 90% of the time I'm the only one driving it. So I'm good with that. And, I think there's a lot of places here where, and a lot of electric vehicles where they're coming along a lot with the driver assist technology, whether it's, Tesla's full self-driving, which may or may not ever really happen. I think just kind of picking in the middle of the road of those options work pretty well. I think the idea of paying for parking assist just seems kitschy, and just a lot of that's just not worth it to me. And then some of these, again, they come with the Lariat, or they come with model. So I do like having upgraded speakers, but most of the rest of it is not things I would highly use. The other thing I think that I point out here is that you can't upgrade to have like the bigger screen on, and more touch interactive experience with the lower end models, which I think is kind of a detriment to those. So I do like that this automatically has it. I think generally speaking, the one thing I don't love is that a lot of the upgrades that you want get packaged with several other things you don't want. So again, generally not my preference, but you kind of you get what you get. So there's where it ends up to be price wise. Again, this is as far as what's available. This is, in my opinion, kind of the best combinations of options that exist there. But again, I think the big recent changes with increasing the price would most likely, if I don't know if that's happened with the Rivian yet. I kind of expect it to with the Cybertruck when that comes out mid to late next year. So who knows to what extent they'll be on par at that point. So anyway, that's the gist of what my selections here are.